Hey everybody, my name is Steven and welcome back to the Storytime channel. Without wasting any time, let's get into our stories of the day. Karen got what she had coming. Today, I got a message from an old IT consultancy colleague of mine who runs his own small consultancy firm now. He was looking for someone who can hold his own winky face for one of his clients, which reminded me of this story. Background. About 10 years ago, freshly out of college, I started working for an IT consultancy firm. The first assignment I got was at a huge international company, which site in my country had about 100 people working for them. Half of them were consultants from my employer, the other half were internal employees. I joined a small development team, also half consultants and half internals. On site, there was a service manager from my employer who oversaw all consultants when it came to evaluations, bonuses, news from our employers, etc. The consultants reported to a manager from the company for work-related stuff, but to the service manager from our employer for HR-related stuff. This story takes place in the beginning of January, and I just transitioned from consultant to internal employee after working with the client for a year and a half. Characters. Me is me. Ross is the big boss, the manager from the company/client. Karen is the service manager, conveniently named Karen. Greg is good guy Greg, my colleague, the one who messaged me today. Story. I was on conference call with Ross, Greg, and some people from a different site. Me, Ross, and Greg were all sitting in a different location in the building. It was one of those meetings where you listen for an hour and only speak to say bye at the end. I had my noise-canceling headphones with microphone on, which had the company's logo on it. Ross gave it to me when I signed the contract with the company as it was a leftover from the Christmas presents they all got. Suddenly, Karen yanks the headphones off my head and starts yelling, "Answer me instead of listening to music, you freaking weasel!" I just sat there with my mouth open in shock as I hadn't seen or heard her approaching me. "And who the heck did you steal these headphones from? They're for internals only." But they're mine. Due to the initial shock, I couldn't find the words to explain I got transitioned to internal when she was on her month-long holiday in December, and clearly, she didn't get the memo. "Stop lying to me, turd. Consider your butt as fired." Me finding my composure back. "You can't fire me, I don't work for you. And even if I did, you have no right to talk to me like that." At this point, my phone beeped. I glanced at my screen and I saw a message from Greg. Greg says, "You are not on mute, Ross, and we can hear the whole thing. You are a lying sack of poop. And stop looking at your phone when I'm talking to you. I don't work for you anymore, and if you keep talking to me like that, I will call security to have you removed." "Who the freak do you think?" She was interrupted by her own phone ringing, which apparently was a call from Ross. She answers her phone with all the fake jolliness she could muster after her tirade against me, but after that all I heard was her say, "Oh, no sir," and "Yes sir." Maybe I have to note that Ross, my manager, was the most senior manager on our site and therefore also the country manager who signed the contract with my old employer for which Karen worked. This was the only time in my life I saw someone age 20 years in a mere 15 seconds. Her face shifted from red to white as if someone flipped a light switch. She hung up and left without saying another word to me. Later, I found out people had complained about her behavior before, but now she was caught red-handed and my manager made sure her services were not needed anymore. She also got fired from my old employer as the company was their biggest contract and they couldn't afford to lose it due to Karen's actions. In some way, I have to thank her though, as I haven't had any problems with shutting down someone who is being abusive since that event. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that somebody who's abusive like that found themselves quickly out of a job. I mean, let's think about it like this. If you were in OP's shoes, how would you be handling that situation with this Karen having an angry tirade at you? Let me know what you think in the comments below. I think you can help me. So I live in Southwest Michigan and was at Michigan's official state big box store in the automotive section. A little old lady came up to me asking if I could help her with something. I said, "I don't think so since I don't work here." She must have noticed that my hands and clothes had grease spots on them from working in the garage, because she said, "Oh, but I bet you're the perfect person to help me." She pulled out her key fob and expressed her frustration with being unable to open it. I'm a computer engineer by trade and a shade tree mechanic by necessity, so I actually felt warm and fuzzy at her expression of confidence. I used my pocket knife to snap open the fob, then closed it and asked her to try. After a couple of attempts, she had it open and was very proud of herself and grateful to me. Sounded like it was gonna be potentially a little contentious to start with, but then it went into a full swoop, span around, and turned into an adorable little story. Give me that dress. No. I was at a mall near my house inside a Rue 21 store. I was dressed in skinny jeans and a black and white striped shirt. Nothing formal, but I still looked nice. I was browsing near a display wall and a very Kardashian wannabe looking woman came up next to me. She had long black hair, which was obviously a wig, a tight bodycon dress, high heels, heavy makeup, and you could smell the fake tan on her. She was on her phone and she told me to grab a dress for her without looking up from her phone, or even saying which dress style and size she wanted. We were near a wall of dresses and she only said, "Grab me that dress." I ignored her and continued browsing. This made her look up from her phone. She got in my face and said, "Get me that dress," speaking slowly like I didn't understand English. I told her, no, I don't work here, find an associate. She looked me up and down with wide eyes and said, "Have you checked what you're wearing?" before spinning on her heels and heading out of the store. Got a shot of the bottom of her butt falling out of her dress as she strutted away. I looked at the associates in the store. They were all wearing black pants and shirts with jewelry or accent pieces from the shelves to promote them. I wasn't wearing anything close to their uniform. OP should have returned the favor, looked them up and down and asked them if they saw what they were wearing, but for a completely different reason. "I'm 600 miles from that store, sir." This is an old tale I have from when I was working tech support for a company that owns a lot of large grocery store chains across the US. I only recently realized it technically counts as an I don't work here lady story. Now, to be clear, I was internal tech support for this company. The only calls I should be getting are from the people that worked for company and all the chains it owns to fix their computers. Me equals me, confused man equals CM. Ring ring. Hiya, company named Desktop Support. This is OP. Can I get your employee ID? Confused man already angry. Where are the diabetic brownies? I'm sorry, the what? I'm at store location and nobody in here knows where the heck the diabetic brownies are. I wasn't aware brownies could be diabetic. I'm sorry, sir, there must have been some mix-up. I'm tech support for company. Somebody must have given you the wrong number. No, I'm not getting any more runaround. Where are the diabetic brownies? Sir, I'm in a call center 600 miles from your store's location. I don't have a layout of the store in front of me and I don't work for smaller grocery store chain. I work for parent company. I can help you if you have a computer that needs fixing. Brownies! Okay, well, let me try to help. What's the store address and who gave you this phone number? The goddamn pharmacist! Okay, please be patient. I'm gonna put you on hold for like 2 minutes. I put him on hold and called customer service for the store he's at, explain the situation. Tell them to look for an angry old man who just walked away from the pharmacist. Alright sir, I called customer service. Someone at your store is gonna come find you and show you the diabetic brownies. Thank you. Click. I then proceeded to call the pharmacy and chew out the pharmacist for giving out an internal number to some confused customer. Never found out if he got his brownies. Well, I sure hope for this man's case he got his diabetic brownies. Man sounded awfully desperate to get his hands on those. Do you know the Muffin Man? I grew up a military brat and we did all our shopping at the commissary on base. I knew it like the back of my hand. Sometimes they would change things to make it seem fancier than it was. This time they had hidden the bakery behind the bread shelves to make it like a secret bakery garden. I was getting groceries for my family and I guess looked like I knew what I was doing because I heard a very frustrated voice say, "Do you even have muffins in the store?" I turned around and saw this elderly gentleman with a very grumpy look on his face. I said, "I'm sorry?" He answered, "Muffins! I've been looking everywhere and you don't have any." I smiled, because he sounded cute grumbling about muffins, and said, "Oh, I actually don't work here, but I do know where the bakery is. Do you see that wall of bread?" I pointed to the end of the aisle. If you go all the way to the left of it, there's an opening, and the bakery is right back there. As I was talking, the old man's face morphed from confused, embarrassed, confused again, and finally lit up as he said, Alright, good deal. You should get a job here. And he marched off to probably give a poor bakery worker a piece of his mind. But it made my day to see him so happy. Do you know the Muffin Man? Well, at least OP made the grumpy man a little happier on this day. Wrong supermarket. This was about 5 years ago. At the time, I worked in IT for a major UK supermarket. Let's call them Trash Co. My office was a dark site, completely unbranded and anonymous, and was next door to a rival store, Schmainsbury's. The staff would regularly walk over to grab lunch. It probably didn't help that I regularly wore a suit, despite a dress-down policy. One day, I was deciding whether to pick up a packet of Jaffa cakes when I hear the dreaded call of the wild Karen. Ahem, ahem, ahem. Sorry, can I help you? 'Cause I'm nice. Can you tell me where the thing I can't remember is? I'm not sure, but I think they're on aisle 12. You're not sure? Well, can't you help me find them? Well, no, I'm on my lunch break and, well, I don't work here. Karen getting agitated. Yes, you do. You're wearing a badge. I'm wearing a Trashco circular name badge plus photo ID with Trashco printed on it and a bright blue Trashco lanyard. You're not being very helpful. What would your manager have to say about this? I don't think she'll care because she doesn't work here either. What the bloody heck is that supposed to mean? Take another look at my badge. Where are we? Karen flaps mouth whilst brain cells begin to engage. Me raises an eyebrow in a have you figured it out yet way. Roger Moore would be proud. Like I said, I think aisle 12, but I'm sure a Schmainsbury assistant will be able to help. Karen shuffles off, muttering. Me picks up Jaffa cakes. Yummy. Let me preface by saying that I'm not defending her, but I kind of understand why she assumes you're working there if you're dressed up and you got the lanyard and everything seems pretty acceptable. I get not noticing the finer details like the logo, but that being said, don't gotta be a witch about it. Karen mistook me as an idiot. Okay, so in this story, I'll give you some background. I'm 18. My brother-in-law is the owner of the hotel in this story. There's a restaurant in the hotel too. This hotel is located in Kerala, India, and this was tourist season, so the place was full of tourists including Americans. Characters: Karen. BIL, brother-in-law. GM, general manager. M is me. Waiter is W, who I know well. My brother-in-law, general manager, and I were having breakfast in the restaurant. Sitting next to us is Karen, tanned, a tourist, and also not a resident of the hotel, obviously only there for a meal. My brother-in-law gets up from the table to go do a few things outside the hotel, but would be back in a half hour. GM joins him. This means that I'm the next person of authority in the hotel. As waiter hands Karen the check, she takes one look at it and this is how it went. I know the owner, he said that the food is free for me. Waiter says, I'm sorry ma'am, but we would require some confirmation from him for you to even get a discount. I told you I know the owner. How ma'am, are you his friend or relative? I'm his cousin. Now, I obviously had to step in as she wasn't. We had no Americans in his side of the family, even half Americans, so I'm now sure she was lying. I'm sorry, is there a problem here, waiter's name? Waiter says, ma'am, she's claiming she knows the owner here. Why is a teenager actually even talking to me? Do you work here? I demand to see the general manager. I do work here, but as I stop myself because I want to see how this plays out. Waiter says, I'm sorry ma'am, the general manager has stepped outside for some time. I'm calling the owner, you're going to be fired. She's now shouting a bit. My brother-in-law's phone is still on our table, and so I keep an eye on it to see if it was ringing. She's now speaking into the phone, pretending to speak to the person. She turns off her phone, turns to us, and says to waiter and me, You're fired and you too, pointing to me. Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to pay and leave or I'll call the cops. How dare you? Who the freak do you think you are? I'm the owner's sister-in-law. What? Pay the bill and leave. She still refused and yelled racial slurs at me and called me a liar. Got the hotel security to kick her out and get the money out of her. Turns out she pulled this at other hotels and restaurants too. Edit, someone asked what kind of food we have at the buffet. We have every type of breakfast ever. Continental, pancakes, waffles, hash browns, and Indian food. All I'm gonna say is it takes some big balls to go into any kind of establishment and claim that you own the owner, taking the chance that maybe the owner isn't there or that they'll even believe you for some reason, and then going and getting themselves wrapped up in this, oh, I'll call them right now and confirm with them situation that obviously was not going to work out for them. But with that being said, that's all the stories we have for today, so what I want to know is which of these stories was your personal favorite and why? Let me know which one in the comments below. And thank you all so much for watching and listening to the Storytime channel. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing, and don't forget to turn notifications on so you'll never miss an upcoming video. Thank you all again for watching and listening to the Storytime channel.